the minute I read that Woj was leaving ESPN, I wanted to go not to what his job was going to be. I was way more focused on the reason he was leaving, the value of what he does for ESPN, what it means for Shams and for maybe Chris Haynes, who's going to replace him. Why does ESPN need an insider? What's the value proposition? It's where my head goes first when anyone gets a contract. The economic term is simple. There is a market value. Sometimes it can be measured, sometimes it can be perceived. Measured market value is a stock price. That's measured. You go online, the stock is trading at 50, one share is $50. There is no discussion. You may think it's undervalued, you may think it's overvalued, but that's the market for that asset. Someone in a job in sales where you have a commission structure, it's very simple to do the math and understand how the pay is the pay. The value of an insider, there is no way to measure that. Does ESPN go to its advertisers and say, excuse me, just out of curiosity, we get first on a consistent basis a trade, an injury, a signing? Are you willing to pay more? We're going to increase our rates because we're driving traffic, because people know to go to ESPN to cover a trade that was just leaked by our insider. And then we get to talk about it. Therefore, everyone's coming to us. Therefore, you'll pay more. That's one way to add value as an insider. Maybe it's with sub fees. We'll ask Skipper that in the next sporting class. Can you go to a cable company and say, we'd like $6 a sub because we've got the best insiders in the world working for us? I wonder how that would go over at Comcast or Charter or DirecTV. Maybe that's what solved the problem with Disney. I wonder whether Woj retiring means that the deal that DirecTV did with Disney is now off the table. The values disappeared. You can tell my sarcasm because having been a true insider, I don't break news as the host of Nothing Personal or an analyst at CBS. When I was president of the Marlins and in baseball for 18 years, we would sit around and say, we make the news and we'll decide. I'm going to call. Who do we owe a favor to? Who do we have the best relationship with? Who's the person we want to reward with the info? Pre-social media, that reward meant that you could make it in next day's paper. And if you've got competing papers, you can have one paper get it. And the other papers are left flat-footed until the next day. When online started, you had to be more tricky because when you give information to somebody and they post it, all of a sudden, it'll get confirmed by another source, but not first. And then they post it. So there was no longer a news cycle. It became 24 hours a day. And then insiders were born. Now, there were always insiders. Remember Peter Vesey in the NBA insider. He would speak to players, he would speak to coaches, he would speak to executives, and he would present his findings either in a column or in a pregame show. Then the insiders morphed into this, we got to get it now because we're going to get credit for every subsequent tweet because that is the principled business that they're in, that if you get info, you have to tweet it, then you get as per blank, the following happened. In order to be that person, you have to live a life that is way different than what newspaper men used to have to live, especially because now you're on TV. Now you have to post immediately. You have to be available immediately. It didn't used to be that way with papers. Woj looked at himself and said, I'm a little tired of the 24/7 lifestyle. I don't feel sorry for him. I am happy for him. It is amazing that he walked away from $20 million. He's in the middle of a 5-year contract. Not many people do that. It is an indictment of the business more than it is a love of St. Bonaventure, in my opinion.